Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hermit Skies. I've got a confession, okay? I've been naughty. I've been slacking a little bit, okay? I've only built... I know, I've let you down here. I've only built one new floor for our base, okay? Really need to pull my finger out. This ain't the way to play Minecraft, you know, jeez. But look at this thing, man. This floor's looking really cool. All ready for all sorts of new projects to inhabit the various areas of this floor right here, which is looking pretty slick, right? You can see all the materials that we've used. You might be curious about these slabs and those slabs. Those are from Applied Energistics. Remember all that skystone that we found in the mining dimension? Well, I've been converting that stuff into slabs. There are different types of blocks that you can make with this, which is really cool, and put them to use over here. And I also tried out a little checkered pattern, but I wasn't really too sure how to go with that. For lighting in this area, we have the lights from Ender.io inverted, so it's all nice and bright, no things can spawn in it. Torches are neatly placed on the ceiling, and that makes us feel good, doesn't it? Also, here at the front, I was messing around with having this chiseled sort of equivalent to this fence, I guess, made out of glass. And this bit right here, with the middle bit knocked out, much more bearable, it's less noisy, but I can't help but feel that maybe we don't actually want a barrier on this floor, which is kind of strange. So what we're going to do is knock out the either ends, then we're going to vein mine. Let's try that again. We're going to vein mine. Ha, there we go. I think I was sort of like looking through the block when I first tried that, but anyway, without it, it feels like it's actually missing something, doesn't it? So maybe we go with that. I think most likely what we're going to do is spend our time and eventually come up with a design, as I don't think I really like the glass. I am just tidying this area up for a thumbnail. Those will mean that I've missed a light up the top there. They're sort of in the corners and in the middles as well. I tell you what, we're probably going to end up using these all over the place. I think what I'm going to do is replace these torches with them because they look so much nicer. They're not as noticeable and they kind of fit in a little better, right? Anyway, the reason that I hit record was to tell you that I'm probably most likely going to be live streaming the day after this video goes out. So I'm going to be getting back from my skiing trip, I believe, like the day before this comes out or something like that. And I've really wanted to live stream this series and go around and do a whole bunch of like odd jobs. There's loads of little things here, there and everywhere that I want to tidy up, and I thought I'd do that in a live stream. So that should be happening the day after this video comes out. You know, make a note if you want to catch it, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you over there on twitch.tv/xisuma. Of course, everything is always in the description box. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do this floor down here as well. No, I don't mean build another floor. Jeez, I've already done that once this episode. By the way, our way of getting up and down between the floors are using these elevator blocks. They require wool and ender pearls, so we've got plenty of those. And it's a little bit janky down the bottom. This bit's fine. Not sure how to do this, so I'll probably end up rebuilding that at some point. But up on this floor above, we're going to start a new project. It's probably the name of the video. It's going to be a beheading project. There are many ways, easy ways as well, to behead mobs and get their heads, including running around your base and whacking them with a cleaver. But we're going to go the fun way. We're going to build something that's interesting and not how you would normally do this, right? Now, the reason that I want to do this is because we're going to start to need mob heads, as I want to make dimensional transceivers. These require ender resonators, so we need enderman heads, and I've only got about 20 of them, which is probably enough actually to start the project, but I'd like to have lots secured for the future. Now, this farm will also produce these things as well, like soul vials with mobs in, so that's going to be useful for making the ender crystals as well. Now, the first thing we need to do in this project is get our hands on some mob spawners. You might remember this place from last episode. If you saw it, I was a little bit confused in this dimension at the end. There's a similar place to this called the Beneath, and it's from a different mod. You craft a block and you use it to go to a dark dimension. So if you were listening to me ramble about how this wasn't quite what I thought it was, it's because I was getting the two of those confused. Anyway, like I said, mob spawners, there we go. There's a cave spawner. Cave spawner? A cave spider spawner. Imagine if it spawned caves. That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it? Did we get that? Yes, we got that in our inventory. Right, and I'm going to go around here and pinch as many of these as I can find. So I've headed now underground to that very first mine shaft that we found. All of that rhymed. And yeah, not finding anything. Although I love wandering around with this lantern on and it placing all the torches for me. unfortunately it's not very time effective. I think we'd be much better off in the Nether, just flying across one of the axes so we keep bumping into fortresses and picking off some blaze spawners. So I've been at this for about 10 minutes, probably not much more than that, and that is pretty slow for modded Minecraft when it comes to finding spawners. So after a big dash through the Nether, we got 17 spawners, which is fantastic. We've got an evolved enderman captured in a soul vial, also a zombie pigman, a wither skeleton, so this will be a way to get wither skulls, and also a regular enderman, so I took a quick trip to the end to grab that. So the next thing for us to do is to use the soul binder, I believe is the one, and combine those souls into those spawners, put them into powered spawners, and then I'll show you the next step. So we have a few things around the base that I'd like to be able to turn on and off remotely, like the Enderman farm, the Blaze farm, our sieving operation over there, and the area above this is where we're going to do that. So I can zap from over here, up above, and then there's going to be a bunch of levers for us to hit and activate things around the base. Now at the moment I don't have much of a design idea, this is not going to stick, but this will kind of give you a hint of what we're going for here, right? So I'm going to be able to say which skull do I want, I'm going to be able to flick a lever, and that one rotates. But I'm going to be able to flick a lever and then we're going to get some of those skulls. Now a cool thing about the levers is in this mod pack there are also, and I did that wrong didn't I, there are also these levers, self-resetting ones, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. So what we'll probably replace these with are those. So we can flick it, it'll turn on the farm, it'll get some of the heads for us for a while, and then it'll flick itself back, which I think is extremely cool. Again, with the next step, I'm struggling with design ideas, but what we're going to do is take our powered spawners and we're going to put them into capture mode. So we can feed soul vials into this and it will put that mob inside of the soul vial. We're going to do that on all of these, and these things will run around the clock, stocking them up. They're then going to get stored in something. I was thinking maybe a basic drawer somewhere else in this area, and then what we do is we send the redstone signal to a conduit next to that drawer, and then that will move. Well, I didn't bring item conduits with me. I brought redstone conduits. Initially I had this idea of using the colour system, right? But then I realised we'd be running long conduits all around the place just to get to those levers. So doing it wirelessly makes the most sense. But yes, we could tell a conduit to come and bring the soul vials over to our mechanical user. Now this mechanical user is going to do two things, or in fact we're actually going to have two of them. The first one is going to deploy those soul vials, so it will spawn the enderman or the other mob in this little area here, and then the second one will hit it with a beheading cleaver, similar to the one we got here. However, we'll get it up to beheading 100 and get it unbreakable and all that kind of stuff. And what I want to base that little area around is this design right here. I want to kind of build the same thing again with the faces, except the middle's going to be transparent and you're going to be able to see the mob spawning inside of it and then getting beheaded, which is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, doing things the fun way. It could be really easy to do this with a regular mob farm and some beheading upgrades on a mob grinder, but I want to do things differently. Alright, Ender IO decoration blocks, a framed drawer right here. This is the Ender IO block and then the same texture as that. And this thing will actually push down into what's below it. So the screen goes kind of funky like that, but it's pushing down. So when it's made one, it goes into here. You can see we've got 3 in total at the moment. Now the next thing that we need to figure out is how is this thing going to get like the items pulled out of it. And I just actually thought of a way. I wasn't so sure how to do it without making things complicated, because we need to send a specific signal to the right place, and so I thought we might end up using a whole bunch of redstone conduits and color combinations, but there is this space directly below the block, so maybe what we can do here is have our Ender IO conduit and then it's activated by redstone. And look at this, I don't know if 5 is the right channel, but if I put it there it's pointing up into that one, so then we can say active only with a redstone signal, right? And then that will go and make its way over to the mechanical user, and this thing's going to automatically deploy any mob that's inside of it. I think it's a good idea if we stop relying on these large conduit networks. I've got a feeling that my frames get a bit herky-jerky every now and then because I've used so many of them. So even though it's short distances, we're going to use ender chests, and we're going to have a whole bunch of conduit facades to hide some of these conduits. Although some will be on view because that stuff does look cool and industrial. But that one down the bottom there I think is grey then white. So it'll move them into there. the empty soul vials will need to go back into this one. So I thought about this incorrectly, but I sort of laid this out to look even, but what we'll do is hide these things probably underneath, and then that means when we look at this we get to see something really cool here, which is what I want to start working on. You know, a little chamber with the mob trapped inside of it. I think it's going to look really cool. But anyway, the empty soul vials will actually go back into this one, and that ender chest is sort of on display here at the moment. Not sure if I'm going to do that. But it will round robin distribute them back into these, which isn't terribly helpful, because if we're making the same type of mob over and over again, then it means it's using up a lot of soul vials, and so if they get evenly distributed around the place, it's going to end up with less, which means that we have to have a buffer of, I think, 96 for each of these, so a whole stack in there, and then another half stack down here. It might also store more than one on that side there, although these things don't stack. So in theory it's actually 97 soul vials for each one of these powered spawners, which means we need a way to get lots of quartz. And I actually have a really cool idea on this, but it's going to require me to make a backpack, or have I actually already made that backpack? I have not. Correction, I say backpack, I mean ender pouch. This thing is linked to our master input, so what I want to grab here from the nether is not quartz, because that actually takes a fair amount of time to fly around and find the stuff and mine it, but there's something else here in abundance, and that is soul sand. You can see I've already mined a load from this area before. Now my inventory is going to fill up pretty quickly, also vein miner is going to give me a hassle as well. Right, and my inventory is now definitely full. So I can go and chuck this into the input, and it will go into storage, of course. But what we can use the soul sand for is sieving. We can sieve it, and from that, we will get some quartz. There you go, nether quartz. So I can chuck that into my sieving array, and that way we'll farm tons and tons of quartz, because there is a ridiculous amount of this stuff. The base looks very different from down here. There was a nearby cable, so I've moved it over to here, and we've got an exporter. We're going to put soul sand on that, and then I'm going to replace the contents of this with soul sand, and it will start filling up those stacks for us. Won't it? It's kind of slow. That's why I brought an acceleration card with me. I've got a feeling I might actually need more than one of these. Let's see how fast it is now. That's probably not good enough for the pace of this thing, so maybe we'll put another one in there, but then I can activate this thing will make quartz, and then we will need to put quartz over on that side as well. Yeah, that's right, okay. And I don't have a free space over here. Well, since this is a bit of a temporary setup, let's just attach that on the top there, so now it's part of the system. Of course I need to lock it as well before we get going here, and then I can just add a conduit to the side of it, and it will get moved into our input ender chest. That has produced a lot of quartz very quickly. 3,000 odd, that's absolutely mental. Now we can make fused quartz with that. So I'm going to take stacks and stacks of this stuff out of here and plop it into our buffers. I love this system, by the way. It works really well. There should be some vibrant alloys in there. And is this in push-pull mode? So if I do that, yeah, it's going to start making the fused quartz straight away. So let's fill this thing up. So this worked out great. We've got a stack of soul vials. We've got one of these here. These actually stack, but not when they're in this slot, which is a good thing because it means we'd be storing even more of these, which is a bit overkill. So in here I put a storage downgrade slot, so we only have one stack. And check this thing out. It's looking pretty cool, right? I did a little bit of chisel and bits and made some pixel art. By the way, each of these pixels is 7 by 7, so it doesn't go all the way to the edge over here. That is based on the soul binder down there. I've got a feeling I explained this already. And that thing, you can't like walk in through the edges, but I like that about ours. We get to go inside it and see what's going on in here. So what I've got left to do before we can run this thing is, just in case the mob that's going to be spawned here, it will be spawned on top of a hopper, and I thought that just might help with the collecting of items a little bit. So the Enderman is tall. We'll probably need it to be about that kind of height, and what we don't have in there at the moment is a weapon. I'm actually going to give this thing beheading, 10s, so it beheads every single time, and then we'll work on the unbreakable ones later on. So this thing is going to sit here and it can possibly break, which means I need to keep my eye on it, and we need to come up with a scheme to level this thing up, basically, although this will help. So that thing's going to be always active. I'll set this up later on, and this one's going to do the same thing, because down below here we've got our ender chest set up, so this thing will extract on green. Over here we're going to, and it's kind of hard to click on the right thing. There we go. Insert on green, extract on brown. Brown goes into this one over here, and there is an item filter on brown, I believe. Yes, so it takes out the empty soul vials, put them into there, and they go back into our machines. So if there's any XP, we'll pick that up down here as well, and then all the items we get, including the mob head, will just go into our storage system. It's pretty fantastic, right? I am loving this project, and I believe it's mostly all ready to go. Just got to configure these two things here. This is a wonderful site. I know it's not the most efficient way of doing a project like this, but I love the technicality of it, and this is good right here. We've made exactly enough soul vials for 2 stacks for each of these and an extra one for that slot there. So in theory, it should mean that they always get the right amount of soul vials delivered back to them, right? Because there's a maximum they can store. Now, I accidentally sent through a wither skeleton, and this over here didn't work yet, which is fine. I'm not sure entirely how we're supposed to configure this one here. I think we just got to go through and find which one of these it wants to do. And now my launcher for the game is crashing over and over again. Brilliant, while I'm recording. And it's not working, is it? I'm not sure what settings we have to change here. Random slot. It might help if I just focus on upper left for now. So I flicked through trying all the different things here and couldn't get it to work, and then a member of my Discord community kind of prodded me in the right direction, and I now kind of know what's going wrong here. Now this thing is going to try and spawn the mob sort of 1 block over, so I don't think this is actually going to work, but this is the way that we get it to work. That carpet there might also be in the way, so we're going to break that off as well. There we go. It's still not doing anything right, so what we might need to do, or well, what I can actually do right now is just remove these blocks here, and there you go. We've got a wither skeleton who is instantly angry at me. For some reason I thought it wouldn't be, I don't know why, and now it's down there as well, which is not good, but we can spawn it with the mechanical users, so we just need to redesign all of this a little bit. Yay, it works, but I removed the beheading swords, in you go. Finally, right, so it tries to use it on the block here and ends up putting the mob 1 block over, and I've redone the wiring down below. And this means that the system works. Let's go flick a switch. I would like a zombie head, which is actually a zombie pigman. Now that would have moved quite a few of them. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is wonderful. This is such a cool way of doing things. Do you know what? I gotta say though, the design of this thing, really cool idea. You don't really get to see what's going on inside of it though, do you? Maybe I should have done it a little bit different. How many soul vials went in there? And look at that, it's taking out the empty ones. Okay, and it looks like this machine is working, which is great. That has got a stack again, and that's now got 4 of them in there, of course. So the speed of this thing, right, when that goes up to 64 again, this will slowly go down as it needs 1 more each time. Although it can accept 2 more at the moment, and it's not getting them, but that's probably this thing just being a bit slow. Actually, it might be the round robin interfering, like it's not going to put any more into this one until it's put some in the other. So maybe actually we don't want that. They're still there though. They're still not getting moved. What's going on? I don't understand that then. Right, so this is the last episode that I record before I go away. So if you've got any ideas for how we could level up this sword, I was thinking maybe angering pigmen in the nether might be a good way to do it. You know, just get loads of mobs coming towards us, whack them over and over again. Might be a little bit grindy for me to do it that way. There might be a way to automate it, but we need to give it enough XP. It's already earned about another 600 because I was doing some experiments earlier, just by killing a couple of mobs over there. So that's promising, but we need to earn enough to level it up all the way. It's now got Beheading X, but it's going to need another 5 modifiers. That is to give it the Unbreakable enchantment, of course, and then after that maybe you'd put looting on, but I don't think we need to worry about that. We're only trying to get heads from this thing, and the whole reason that we went down this road is because we need some Enderman heads, specifically this type of Enderman. So I'm going to whack that Loads of soul vials are going in there, and I'm hoping it's going to one-hit kill them because they can technically teleport away. So what we might want is a speed upgrade on this thing over here, but it seems to be the moment that this one spawns it is the moment that one attacks. So with one-hit kill on that, it's doing its job fantastically. So thanks to all that quartz that we got earlier, I've got stacks of fused quartz lying around, and we need that to make the dimensional transceiver, so I thought, why not make a stack of these? They're incredibly useful. It's good to get these crafted and out of the way early on, and this is the only bit where you really got to sit down and grind this out, because the rest of it's been automated thanks to these machines over here. Over on this side I've had this thing working, so we've got a stack of those, and those required the Enderman heads, which I weren't actually getting, these ones right here. Well, it turns out you get these other ones from the Endermans and you can craft them into those ones. So I started to panic a little bit when I realised that the two Enderman farms that we set up basically get the same type of skull and not the one I needed for this, but luckily you can craft them, which is cool. Anyway, just got a little bit further to go and then we can craft a whole stack. And there goes the last one. Now, why are we making a stack of these things? It's because the base has begun to get a little bit laggy here and there, as I was describing earlier in this video. And that means for future projects, we are going to be moving some stuff away from here and chunk loading it. So we need a way to transfer power around. Now, did I just put a stack in here and the stack that was already there stayed there? Yeah, look at this. Something's definitely up with this system over here. And there it is, a whole stack of them. And that's where we're actually going to end this episode today. I think that was a pretty good achievement. We made a very cool little mob farm project up the top there, expanded the base, made tons of dimensional transceivers. It's been very productive, but that is going to be it from me. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. As always, thank you for the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.